Welcome, Council Bluffs Area Chamber members. This is Drew Camp, President and CEO of the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce, here for another candidate interview, this time with County Auditor Melvyn Houser. Melvyn, thanks for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
So the first question that we'll ask is pretty broad, but if we look at the top issues in Pottawatomie County, what do you feel those top issues are, and how will you address them if reelected to the position of auditor?
Well, obviously the biggest issue now is the pandemic and how we will handle that during this election. And if you remember in the primary, we had trouble finding poll workers because of the pandemic, and we went from 40 precincts down to, or 40 polling places down to 5. And of course encouraged everybody to absentee vote by mail or in person at the election building. And that worked out all right. We had, after the Secretary of State sent those request forms out, we had a record number of absentee ballots. And I think after nothing much has changed other than the perception of those poll workers, and they're willing, more of them are willing to work now because we've got all of the safety, the PPE for them, plexiglass shields, masks, gloves, and so we'll be opening up 26 polling places. But that's for the auditor's office, that's the biggest issue now. And aside from the elections, it's just a matter of keeping all my staff safe, because it's one of the busiest offices in the county. Everything runs through the auditor's office, and we can't afford to be without our payroll people or our real estate people, or especially, and right now the election folks. If I lost 2 election staff, why, we would be in a world of hurt. So how we will handle that after I'm elected, I think we'll just keep doing the same thing, because we're in this for the long haul, and we just have to keep all our staff safe.
We look at the biggest issue at the state level, obviously, as a county level position, as the county auditor, you obviously look at some of the policies being handled and done at the state level as well. So what is the biggest state issue for your office, and how would you address or advocate it for or against it if reelected?
Okay, I sit on the ISAC board of directors and work closely with, ISAC is the Iowa State Association of Counties, and we work closely with them in the public or government relations arena. The ones I wrote down before you asked that question were the ISAC priorities, and the top one is mental health funding. And they're always fighting, that's always one of the top priorities, is funding for mental health, and continuing the backfill of the commercial rollback. And I just checked with my finance director. She said last year, altogether, we got about $1 million in that backfill. And if the legislature decides to not backfill that, we'll be in another world of hurt with $1 million out of our expected budget. As far as the auditor's office, it's always a defensive game with the legislature on election laws. And well, for instance, we got through the primary, the legislature met again in June, and they changed the rules on us at halftime of the whole election game. So it's difficult. We have our auditor priorities. They haven't been voted on yet, but we will want to make sure things run smoothly and just play defense against the legislature for, all these people that vote, they think that, and I've spent 16 years over in the supervisor's office, and I thought I knew what went on over in the auditor's office, and you don't really know what it takes to run an election. And I don't want to dismiss the capabilities of our legislators, but they don't know how elections run. Nobody does unless you're in that office.
A lot of moving parts. Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of details, a lot of laws, and you're dealing, well, right now we're dealing with how to handle the voters in the healthcare facilities. Used to be we'd send a team out there and they would allow people to vote early at the healthcare facilities. can't do that now because they're closed up. So they have to get a special release so that we can mail those to the nursing homes, where somebody else, the activities director, is handling their ballots for them and handing them out. So there's a lot of little pieces that people just don't think about or realize, and dealing with overseas and military voters and how all that works. And it just goes on and on. I learn something every day.
Mhm. Well, it's always
So
exciting when you get the opportunity to do that.
yeah, it is. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And most people my age are retired. I don't know why I'm here still learning this stuff, but it's a lot of fun working for Pot County.
It sounds like there's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Well, can I elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I'm a farm boy and farmed for quite a number of years before I ran for supervisor in 2000. But being an auditor is like farming. You have your plans for the day and you go outside to the feed shed or the barn and the tractor. Well, the cows are out, it's raining. There's always something hitting you from somewhere else. That's what it's like in the auditor's office. It's a lot like farming.
Yeah, I can understand that. I've never been a farmer. I was a city boy, as they call them, but no, that's definitely something. I've known some people that grew up on farms and having conversations along those lines, and
Yeah.
I understand the different dynamics that are at play when they go out any given day, and it's 18 different things than the 10 things they thought they were going to get done.
Right. The best laid plans of mice and men go often astray, I guess. So.
It's a good way to put it. The next question that we have deals with opportunities that you see for the county. And obviously, as you mentioned, you served as a county supervisor for over a decade, over 15 years prior to the auditor's office. So you obviously have a pretty good perspective as to what's going on in the county. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for the county going forward?
Continued collaboration. And I've noticed over my almost 20 years, the amount of collaboration that the county has with the city of Council Bluffs and all the small towns and even our neighboring counties. We've got a countywide tourism committee that started years ago, and the CVB works very closely with all the other events and attractions out in the county. The city's fund that started years ago is still very active, and all the little towns get together and decide on how to divide up that money. And Delbert King was a supervisor. This would have been back in 2003 or 4 when he started that. And he was the supervisor's representative to the city's committee. Mm-hmm. Let's see, cities. I can't even remember what the acronym stands for now.
It's hard to remember all of them.
It is. But, and Delbert King, he knew everybody around the county. He was just one of those guys that knew everybody and was everywhere all at once. And he went to the meeting. He says, this is the first time all these mayors have even sat down at a table together and talked to each other. So that collaborative effort is just mind-boggling. It's just great. Of course, we have the Advanced Southwest Iowa with that collaboration with the chambers and others, and WIDA, Western Iowa Development Association, is still working as a small city chamber of commerce, and they're getting their feet on the ground and doing some good stuff. So, and the Board of Supervisors are very supportive of all those collaborative efforts, and I think if we continue that and build on it, we're in a good place.
I'm glad to hear you use that word, because this is my 10th week on the job as president CEO of the chamber, and that's the word I use a lot. I use the word collaboration. I use partnerships. The word conduit is something we use a lot to connect people. So, we want to continue working in similar manner throughout the community, whether it be with the county, the city, the community college, the healthcare professionals, whatever it may be. We want to make sure that we're continuing to work with all those individuals and the public offices, schools, things like that. So,
yeah.
The next question I have is directly related to, talking a little bit about the chamber and business community, is how we work with and partner with the chamber and business community to move Pottawatomie County forward in that collaborative manner you talked about.
Well, that's really a supervisor question, but I'm trying to see how the auditor's office would fit into that. And the first thing I thought of was keeping our real estate transactions up to date and flowing, because I know that the businesses are buying and selling properties, and through the real estate process, the auditor's office is integral in that. But honestly, I can't think of, we in the budgeting process, we are the budget central for all of the cities and the schools and the townships and the community college. But as far as a direct relationship between the auditor's office and the business community, I think it's not that great. But if anybody has any ideas or thoughts or anything we can do, we'll be willing to work with them.
Well, for example, one thing I would like to do before the election happens, probably here in the next couple of weeks, it'd be great to work with you to maybe do kind of an educational webinar or seminar with our members to talk a little bit about absentee voting, mail-in voting, the best way to make sure that you're getting your vote counted. I think that's an extremely timely and appropriate topic for us to talk about. So there's one example there.
It is. My election deputy, Christy Everett, has been to the Lions Club and various groups, talking to them, and she is one of the best election deputies in the state, and she would be more than happy to do something like that. She does Facebook Live post. We have our Pot County Elections website, which is very informative for folks, and there's a link on there that you can track your absentee ballot request form and your ballot. It's back to Secretary of State, so people that are concerned about their ballot, they can go on that website and make sure that their ballot has been sent from us or received back to the office. But yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that, Drew.
Perfect. I would like that. When we've talked a lot about your time and your experience in elected office as a supervisor and then now the auditor, but what unique skills do you bring to the position of auditor that make sure that you're serving the people of Pottawatomie County well?
I think it's patience. I'm just easy to get along with. I don't know that it's a unique skill, but that's an attribute that I have, and I've learned. I remember years ago I was doing one of these chamber things. Of course, we were in person, and they asked me what my greatest skill was, and I said patience. I've been married for 40 years. I've learned to be very patient. So I think my wife even chuckled at that too.
And we can probably all use a little more patience. Yeah.
Well, and then its ability to work with others. So as I was a supervisor for 16 years, I knew all and worked with all the department heads and other offices. So I knew everybody, and they feel free and to come and talk to me or my staff about their budget or for some expenditures or any payroll issues. So it's just my predecessor, Marilyn Jo Drake, who was there for 32 or 36 years. I think she lost count. That was her main attribute, was she had her brood and she took care of everybody. She took care of the recorder, the assessor, and the treasurer, and the department heads, just made everything work so that in some counties, some officers will form their own little kingdom, and they don't want to work with everybody else. But I think that's why she twisted my arm to run, because she knew that I was willing to work and collaborate with all the other departments and offices in the county.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously Marilyn's retiring from the board this year, so she's kind of hanging up her elected office.
Yeah, she'll be missed.
Yeah,
I still have her phone contact though. So
yeah, it'd be a good resource. So that's always a good thing. And the last question I have for you is, why should voters cast a ballot for you on November 3rd or starting October 5th via absentee?
I guess from all the things I've just talked about, it was my abilities to work with other people and listen to staff, and that's not a very important call. you know, I don't know. I just love working for Pot County, and and I've been affiliated with all these other committees through ISAC, Iowa State Association of Counties. I was supervisor, president of the supervisors affiliate, new supervisors from all over the state. And now that I'm on the ISAC board of directors, I know people from all over the state. And I sit on the ISAC auditors executive committee, and I get to know those other auditors real well. And after talking to other recorders and auditors and assessors and supervisors around the state, we are really lucky here in Potawatomi County. We've got a great group of supervisors and other elected officials, and nobody fights and squabbles. And, you know, you hear these horror stories of the assessor in some county won't speak to the auditor, and it's just creates a lot of dysfunction. So,
And it doesn't serve the people well.
no, it does not. But those egos get in the way, and everybody's got an ego. But as long as it doesn't get too out of hand, we'll be doing fine.
Well, Melvyn, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your insight and you taking the time to be with us on this video candidate interview.
Well, you're welcome, Drew. It was a pleasure.